So there is nothing quite like throwing a little chaos into the mix ahead of a weekend. That's what the U.S. president has done today, saying trade talks with Canada are terminated. Let's go to Lawrence Herman on this. He's an international trade lawyer, former Canadian diplomat, senior fellow at the C.D. Howe Institute. Thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome.
So Trump is upset about the digital services tax, which we already knew. The first payment's due June 30th. Do you anticipate any give from Ottawa on this?
I don't think so, and I don't see why we should. This is an incredible development. Maybe it was expected, but Canada has its own policies, and we should pursue those policies. If the U.S. has problems with some of our measures, the proper approach is to negotiate and come to some kind of an agreement. And what has happened today is just an astonishing development, but I guess we shouldn't be surprised. We're dealing with a totally unreliable trading partner who doesn't believe in the proper, mature conduct of international relations. So that's where we are. But I frankly think it would be a mistake for Canada to cave in under these circumstances. And the challenge for the Carney government is to try to get this thing back on the rails. This thing meaning our discussions with the Americans on a broader trade agreement. But this is no doubt very damaging, and you reported a minute ago about what's happened in the markets. So this is where we are, and this is the challenge we have in trying to somehow arrange our affairs in an orderly, respectful, and mature manner. And by the way, I should say, the Canadian digital services tax is not a surprise. It's been on the books for months and months and months. So it's not as if this was some new measure that has come out of the blue. And the other thing, if I just may go on for a moment, that's important is that 45 or 50 other countries have digital services taxes. So Canada isn't the only country that's applying these taxes. Many other countries, including many European countries, have the same measures.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. It is more common these days to introduce something like this, and we definitely weren't the first.
That's for sure. And you know, the other thing is, again, to show how unsystematic and how unreliable the Trump White House is, they just did an agreement, a framework agreement with the Brits. The Brits have a digital services tax, and there's nothing in that agreement with the Brits that have required the Brits to abandon that tax. It's in force, it's in effect, and it's been accepted within the framework of the US-UK agreement that was concluded between Starmer and Trump about 6 weeks ago. So this just shows how unsystematic and arbitrary Mr. Trump is in dealing with trading partners.
And we should also, sorry to interrupt you, we should also add that that tax only kicks in after these companies have made a certain amount of money from Canadian clients, so they are allowed a certain amount of revenue. I think it's $20 million before the tax kicks in. Correct me if I'm wrong. And it means about $2 billion for Canada right out of the gate.
You're absolutely right. And the other thing that is important from a trade law perspective is this is not a discriminatory measure. It applies equally, regardless of where the companies are based, regardless of their national origin. It's not as if Canada is singling out American companies to tax. It is a broad-based, non-discriminatory tax, fully compliant with international trade law and fully compliant with our Canada-US-Mexico trade agreement. So there's nothing in this measure that in any way offends Canada's treaty obligations or other international agreements. The way to deal with this is to have some kind of mature, respectful negotiation wherein we can reach some degree of compromise. But the other thing that we have to bear in mind, Canada has entered into some pretty serious discussions with our European counterparts. So we're not going to abandon the digital services tax unilaterally when we're dealing with our European partners who have digital services tax. That would be, in a way, a betrayal of our relationship with the Europeans. So the way to deal with this is to deal with it in a mature way through bilateral or even multilateral negotiations. And one other point, and I think this is important, and it reflects the lack of consistency in U.S. policy. There has been a series of discussions at the OECD, as you may know, to find an agreement, a multilateral agreement on the DST. The Americans have abandoned the talks in the OECD. They've said, we're not going to be part to any international agreement on the DST. So it leaves those countries like Canada and the Europeans wondering how to approach this matter. The US have said they're not going to be part of an international understanding. So the only alternative is for Canada and its like-minded allies to proceed.
Yeah.
And we will have to deal with the consequences of an unsystematic, arbitrary bully. It's the way the world, unfortunately, is turning, and it's going to put pressures on this country.
As you know, Trump has said he's going to decide within 7 days or a week what level of tariff Canada will have to deal with. What do you think that could look like?
It's hard to say. You know, there's no doubt that they have a lot of cards on the table in their favor, and they can play those cards. And it could be difficult. But the worst thing, in my view, for Canada to do as a country would be to cave into this kind of outrageous pressure. I think we just have to do our best, and Mr. Carney has a great deal of pressure on him to try and get things back on a proper path of negotiating and coming to some kind of compromise. I'm not sure what that compromise might be, but we can't deal with our trading partners, or the Americans cannot deal with their trading partners in this way, threatening retaliatory action at the drop of a hat.